How's it going, everyone? My name is buildnye. We're going to be running Star Trek Voyager Elite Force. I was got caught up on the Star Wars because of the Jedi Academy run earlier.
Yeah.
We'll be running Meow mod today, which is a speedrun conversion thing, which removes basically all waiting, all escorting in a few arenas. And I have with me today the illustrious Covert Muffin.
Hello! Yeah, I'm really excited for you folks to be able to experience this run. It's like an absolutely incredible speed run. Maybe you've seen like some other Quake-based speed runs like Star Wars Jedi Knight Academy or Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. This is made by the same developers. So yes, there's going to be a lot of movement, but that being said, why don't we jump into it, Bill?
Alright, starting us off in 3, 2, 1. And we're off.
Good luck, man. You're going to do great.
Oh, I know.
Alright, so as Build is going to be moving through these levels, you're going to notice that Build is going to be turning his camera from left to right all over the place. And this is something known as strafe jumping, especially when we jump over and over again. So when we turn our camera, moving it at a diagonal from W plus A or W plus D, and then turn into the respective diagonal with the mouse, then this will actually end up causing us to build speed because of vector math. But here's a cool trick where Build is going to be bugging out the camera by crouching and pausing the game just like that, and so he's able to be able to break a switch, which sequence breaks us from having to go down there and do it manually. Nicely done. But as Build is going to be doing this really cool climb here by crouching midair to raise his hitbox, so strafe jumping and then jumping over and over again allows us to maintain that speed. So here's a really big jump. So there's going to be 2 cool jumps right in a row. So here's the first one, nice second try, and then here's the next one. Nicely done, dude. Build is just making this look a lot easier than it actually is. We're able to build and maintain speed. So it's going to be really difficult, especially in this video game in particular, because we have less air control than some other modified Quake engine games that both me and Build are familiar with. But that being said, we are back here on the Voyager, and you're going to notice like a lot of tightly compacted hallways, right? So while we're turning into those diagonals, Build is going to be switching strafe directions in order to just try on average to be moving forward. Because if we're just like making a snake S motion all over the place, that's not really going to be an effective way of moving through these hallways in particular. So like runners of Build's caliber are always fascinating to watch because they've just mapped out not only how to do these pieces of tech optimally, but then also, almost more importantly, routing out every single spot that they are going to be landing in order to be able to build speed while not losing speed. And this is something known as tempoed movement. The better you get at the game, the more difficult it becomes. But here, go on, Build. Yeah, please.
Yeah, the amount of times I've had to reroute this game or like Academy, your skill level is tremendous. Like, wow.
Yeah. So upcoming here, this is going to be a common theme in a lot of places in this run. This is known as an arena. And so in speedrunning, if you're less familiar with arenas, this basically means that Build has to kill off a list of enemies before he is able to move on to the next segment of the speedrun itself. So there's a little bit of RNG in this section, especially if Build is allowing these enemies to be able to run around in particular. I think one enemy... Oh, no, you're good. Yep. And so Build did a nice job of like mitigating that RNG, because if those enemies are alive, they'll actually just start running around. But because Build knows like where they're going to spawn and maybe which order they're going to spawn in, he is able to just sort of like set up his aiming ahead of time and be able to snipe them immediately. So nicely done from Build there.
And I'm fully convinced it's random.
Yeah, like we were talking about this like a few weeks ago or something like that, and Build was mentioning he thinks it, like, or excuse me, like please feel free to speak for yourself. Yeah. But that like it might be like seeded, but then like it was like different seeds that could happen RNG wise.
I think the game is coded in such a way where you have your spawn nodes, and the game just randomly picks what spawn nodes. You only need to kill 5 out of the 6 enemies to progress.
Yeah, so basically what Build means by that is that enemies can only spawn in specific locations. However, which locations are chosen are random.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so what Build is doing here, which is really cool, is using an alternate fire on that red sort of machine gun which ends up shooting a giant explosion under his body. And this is in the base game, but it can only be activated by utilizing a console command to modify the physics of the game itself. So, by shooting explosive underneath our feet, and then jumping while that explosion is going on, Build is able to build a bunch of additional height to be able to sequence break certain sections. And this is one of the things that Meow Mod actually modifies in the game, is that explosive boosting is just on from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Going into
so this is honestly
the hardest trick in the game. The hardest trick in the run.
Yeah. So watch this. This is an incredibly precise one. Build is going to try and get it. Oh, that was so close, dude.
That was so close, too.
This actually does... Yeah, this skips a significant portion of the level as well. Almost. So, once again, it's really important that Build syncs up not only in the position that he starts the jump, but then also the jump timing immediately after the explosion occurs. If any of these details are off, Build is just not going to be able to get enough height to be able to get up there. This one's so incredibly precise.
Indeed. But only in the next, like, 5 tries, I may have to go the
do that one, right?
route.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the,
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. It is so incredibly difficult. I'm not surprised. Yeah. So now we get to see more awesome portions of this level, which I love. And I think, like I said recently on another friend's performance, that, like, I love seeing live performances of runs, because then you actually get, like, an appreciation of how difficult it is. Like, if you just look at leaderboard runs, like, 99% of the tricks on, like, very refined runs in optimized categories, they're just going to nail them, like, first try every single time. But then, like, having struggles and stuff in marathon performances and seeing how the runners adapt gives me a whole new appreciation just for, like, how difficult a lot of these things actually are realistically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So we're back on the Voyager, which is just going to showcase off some more movement. And these vents in all are particular, where Build is just going to have to crouch them. There's going to be a number of these sections are nice little bits of downtime for Build, because the rest of the run is incredibly fast-paced.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all thanks to Meow Mod in particular, because in this game there are a lot of sort of like NPC sections where they just go through a bit of dialogue in like a locker room, and you have to stand there doing nothing for 30 seconds. But like a lot of those end up getting removed. So the run is very much more fast-paced in a lot of scenarios and sections. Next, also, there are various sort of like escort missions for NPCs in order to be able to get access to certain doors and elevators. Which can cause RNG, because the NPCs that are following you can end up getting stuck on corners and walls and such. Those are also end up getting removed. So overall, the Meow Mod in particular, shoutouts to Dr. Meowington, make a much more fast-paced run, but then an also sort of runner-dependent run where there's less sort of RNG associated with the run overall. So this level,
right here.
Yep. Nice. So here's a really specific cycle. Build, nice, gets through the door. So if Builds slowed down just ever so slightly in that room, then the door would have closed, and they would have either had to backload or end up taking another arena fight. But because Build was able to get through that room fast enough, they were able to skip the entire area, which was really cool.
Our little bugs are a little precursor to what's to come.
Yeah, so Twitch chat, I, Covert Muffin, swear that I would never lie about the plot of a video game. Nope, not me. Nope, 100% lore accurate, always. And so those bugs were implanted by 2 NPCs in particular, who are the worst. They are imagine, close your eyes for a sec. Well, don't close your eyes. Watch Build speedrun this game, but metaphorically close your eyes. Imagine the worst possible person you can imagine, and then times that by 10, and that's George and Steve. Both separately, so it's really like 20 times the worst person that you can imagine.
Your little smiley face in there.
That's like a George and Steve smiley face. It's a little cursed.
There we go.
Nice. Yeah, so here's a big sequence break. Nice, gets it first try. So that's a really fascinating one too, because if Build starts that jump just a little bit too soon, they will end up explosive boosting, giving them enough height, but it'll end up bonking his head on this just one metal beam that's like in a really inconvenient spot. But Build did an excellent job walking as far out as they could before starting that explosive boost. Very expertly done. Oh, yep, there they are. George and Steve! Yeah. Ooh, okay, this is fine. Yep, there's health. So health management in this speedrun is also a really fascinating thing to refine, because as you imagine, when we shoot literal explosions under our feet, yes, we end up taking damage. And so Build is intentionally skipping a lot of these health kiosks, which when you activate them, they just will give you an amount of health almost instantly. And you don't have to stand there constantly activating it. You just hit the switch once, and then you just like refill a bunch of health. However, because Build is the top runner and they wanted to refine their route, they end up skipping a number of these health consoles, which only take like 1 to 5 seconds each, in order to just like guarantee. They just have, he has sculpted his route out that much to just save those tiny little pockets of time save all over the place. Like that one right there. Just, nope. Not getting it.
This one, forget about it.
Yeah, that would have taken, I don't know, like 0.2 of a second. Nope, gotta save time.
Indeed. And let me tell you guys,
so here,
hardest boss fight in the game, by far. Well, let me just show you how incredibly difficult this boss fight is.
Yeah.
Look, it's just so hard. Man, that was just a really hard boss fight. But unironically, like, without that tranquilizer, it's actually an incredibly hard fight.
Yeah, so basically, Build saved over a minute by picking up an optional item, which is this, like, tranquilizer dart. So, like, normally the boss has, like, multiple phases where they become invulnerable for a number of seconds. And so it, like, saves well over a minute. Just to get that one item, and then like you tranquilize them, shoot them a little bit with a phaser, and then they just die. Which is very, very funny. So here on this level, George and Steve, who we thought we were able to almost kill in a in a prior mission, George and Steve ended up taking one of the crewmates and traded them to the Borg in order to form a small alliance with them as they go through an alien metamorphosis in order to become a superior being in the galaxy. So...
Absolutely.
Yep.
God, I never get tired of this story. And right there, I use the use function, and in the you can do a little tilt. Allow me to get just close enough to the button where I can just right click and it lets me through.
Yeah, so we just like basically opened a door from another side by animation clipping through the door and then shooting an explosive at the button. Okay.
Alright, this don't go into the haze. Don't.
Oh dude, Monroe, the trimmings on the side.
Monroe, don't go into the haze. It ain't good for you.
Don't drink the Mountain Dew mist.
The Borg Mountain Dew mist. It's bad for you.
Don't listen to George and Steve. There are no Doritos down there.
Alright. I'm decent on time.
Okay, so here are the aliens that are helping George and Steve out.
Actually, I think they hate George and Steve, but when they saw us associate with them on the ships, they're like, we dislike them too.
I see.
Yeah, our little encounter with George and Steve on the frigate base is like basically made us enemy number one.
Yep. Yes, indeed. So here we're taking out the crewmate that George and Steve ended up trading to the Borg. But we clear out the other Borg first before taking on the boss fight to make things a little bit more consistent. Yeah.
Basically, the boss is immortal until we take out his Borg drones, his minions.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the holodeck. We're going to do none of it. We just enter and exit immediately.
A little bit of relaxation before the death tube.
Oh no. Yes, so now that we found out that George and Steve are going through alien metamorphosis, once again 100% accurate lore, we would never lie to you. Nope, not us. We have decided collectively and were given orders to end up taking over the death tube. Don't get it mixed up with the Death Star. There it is. So we're going to take it over and then fire the death tube at George and Steve to try and end their reign of tyranny. Yep.
Exactly.
So here, as we're moving through, some other things of note to like point out as we're moving through these corridors is that not only is moving through the corridors very difficult because there's like trimmings on the side and stuff, that if Bill runs into one of them, yes, Bill will lose all of his speed and have to start over the jump chain once again. But then also there are enemies that will end up like spawning in your way. So Bill just knows exactly where they're going to spawn at like every single juncture. So Build is like trying to just map out their movement and route out their movement to try and set up their strafe jumps to be able to move past them. But here's a really cool jump. Nicely done. Gets it first try. That was really smooth, dude. That was really good.
Completely extra. That is not the optimal path to do it. It's just a little funny thing I found.
Yeah. Wait, having fun in video games? What?
Impossible, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
But yes, so like Build, something else that Bill just did there was ended up firing his weapon at an enemy, killing the enemy, in order to remove it from his path. If you're familiar with Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast and Jedi Knight Academy speedruns, enemies actually remain corporeal, so they can still get in your way after you destroy them for half a second. But in this game, the hitboxes get removed instantaneously. So if Build finds an enemy that they can't work around, and they can't crouch climb over, then what Build will actually just end up doing is just killing the enemy instantaneously. Nice explosive boost there to be able to get up, as Build is going to progress through. Doing another camera glitch here by crouching and pausing the game at a really specific frame in the crouch animation. Nice, gets it. And then fires his weapon to break the switch. Nicely done. Nice. Okay. Yeah, so like there, just crouching over those robots in order to be able to progress through. And then coming through here, health looked good. Nice explosive boost, gets a little bit of a heal there before activating the control panel to start activating the death tube. Oh, I love the movement in this level.
Right.
So a really cool physics thing in these games is that if you see a ramp or a slope, as we commonly refer to in like Quake games in particular, you can actually get something known as a slope boost. So if you land on a slope, it'll actually end up converting your horizontal and vertical momentum, okay? So basically, and vice versa. So basically what that means is that Build is moving down and they land on a slope. The direction that the slope is facing, it will actually add horizontal speed in that direction. So if the slope is facing in the direction that Build is moving, that will actually end up building him some speed. But also, in the reverse, if the slope is facing us as we're jumping into it, that will actually end up losing us speed. Wait, here's the death tube. And we are now going to try and take out George and Steve. Definitely not copying the Death Star. Don't sue Star Trek Disney. It's not worth it. So sadly, we find out shortly thereafter that our attempts once again to foil George and Steve, we were able to foil them. However, we ended up just making them mad, so they send their now newly formed alien spawn after they went through a metamorphosis to become the alien overlord.
Absolutely.
And
100%
so,
canon.
Yep, 100%. Oh, yes. I love these levels. So watch this, chat. So now, explosive boosting up, we're able to land slightly out of bounds to get on top of there, and then jumping all the way to the end of the level. Nicely done. Sequence breaking directly to the end. I love that sequence break so much. It's so cool. Awesome. Okay, so Build is just going to continue moving through this portion of the level here, activating the switch to be able to progress, and then grabbing some safety health in order to be able to do more explosive boosting later. Yeah, so like there's a great example of Bill just like killing an enemy while starting a strafe jump in order to be able to just remove them out of his path so that he can more optimally be able to move through a given segment. Yep. Yeah, like there, that one, like, plasma cannon, I think it's called, just ended up costing him 75 health. So a lot of these explosive boosts can be quite costly in the health department. Okay, so continuing to progress on through, just nice strafe jump so far. But yeah, here's a big jump. Nicely done, gets through. It's very difficult to tell just like how difficult that jump chain is, but Bill just like absolutely nailed that first try. That is very impressive to me.
Oh no, guys. Deathplane. Oh no.
Yeah, do you want to talk about this build?
So basically, a lot of these areas where, like, the game's like, we don't want you to go here. They put these funny little death planes here. No matter where I land, I just seemingly can't progress. But we're speedrunners. We're smarter than that. There's a little oversight way over here. Literally the size of a player model. You just go like that. There we go. If I was over just by a pixel, the Death Trigger would have hit me.
Yeah, I love that it's like pretty much the exact width of a player model to just be able to fit in that hole. That's so ridiculous. It's so good.
And on ILs for like Spear and myself, we just freaking yeet ourselves at that spot.
Oh, it's so good.
But Marathon's saying you gotta play it just a little bit safer, you know, just a little bit.
Yeah, I love like showcasing off that extra visual detail. But yeah, so here we're coming quickly to the end of the run. We just have this bit of a lengthy arena. It's like 30 to 60 seconds. And then we will be facing the final boss. Yes, you may have guessed it. It is indeed George and Steve combined into one being because they went through metamorphosis and fused their collective consciousness and bodies together and became something else.
You can call themselves the Vorsoth now or something, I don't know.
Yeah, they started calling themselves like, the Vorsoth. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So Build is doing something silly, which is something known as backstrafing, which also allows him to build speed, but using S instead of W for the forward/backward direction. Yep, so we're almost done with this arena here.
It literally gives me zero advantage. It's just something fun to do while this big guy just rants on. Oh, the blue people are here. The blue people from earlier. They destroy the little thingy, and now George and Steve, they're very angry at us. We stopped his entire evil plan from coming to fruition. So now it's him, mono.
Yeah, you can just like tell they really went off the deep end. Like, what happened to them? What happened in their life to bring them to this point?
Like, their skincare routine eats them a lot of work.
Just a little bit. Yeah, so basically this boss, it's just based on like the number of hits, really. So Build is just running around to be able to avoid the boss's attacks. Yep, so there's going to be a few cutscenes, and then time is going to be coming up, and Build will call that.
And time. Wow.
Awesome, GG.
GG's.
So just a quick outro. My screen name's Covert Muffin. You can find me on twitch.tv/covert_muffin. And Build, where can they find out more about Escape from Yavin 4, Meow Mod, and find yourself?
To find more about like Meow Mod, Escape from Meow 4, you can go to speedrun.com.